man MAS, back with more Frieren videos. Yes. Alright, so pretty much I've finished the series, but I'm still going to review the episodes per 5 episode segments. So this time around we're talking about episodes 21 through 25, I believe. And of course, if you clicked on the video, you already know the title, why Frieren can't be one of the greatest animes of all times, unfortunately, right? So again, I've seen the entire series. The issue is, it's just not enough episodes to call this anime the best of all time. So I know my Frieren fans, my hardcore anime fans, you might be upset, like, yo, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, whatever, right? If we're being honest with ourselves, be honest with me, you be honest with yourself. It's just not enough episodes to say that, right? And again, all of these reviews are based upon the anime, not the book, not the manhwa, not the manga, not, you know, far into the future. Like, no, we're talking about what the casual person is seeing in the moment. The casual person seeing this in the moment, it's just not enough episodes to call it the greatest anime of all time. If the argument wants to be like, hey, this is the greatest anime of this generation, right, of this decade, because several decades, so like, hey, of this current decade, this generation, Frieren is the greatest of all time. Maybe I could argue that, maybe I could see your argument for that, but even then, I'm like, I can't give it that title, right? People might be upset with me saying this, but as far as I can tell, me being completely unbiased, the greatest anime of all time so far is technically One Piece. Let's all be honest. One Piece has the most popularity, the most episodes, the most controversy that people are talking about, the most story development, character development. By default, it's One Piece just because of how long it's sustained. To have a story for that long, just by longevity, is like almost like a handicap. Like by default, it's the greatest anime of all times so far. Just being objective. You can be objective for yourself. You know it's true, right? Now, is it the greatest anime of all times to me personally? No, One Piece isn't that. Like, One Piece story fails in comparison to other anime, right? But just by gauging all the animes I've seen since I was younger till now, the only one that's still standing and is as popular and as powerful is One Piece. It's standing the test of time, right? Because then that's going to be the argument for Frieren. If Frieren is going to be the greatest anime of all time, is this a show that we're going to be talking about 5 years from now, 6 years from now, 10 years from now? Is this show going to be in the same rafters of like a Cowboy Bebop, where like people refer to as a cult classic? I know it's very popular in like the last 2 or so years, but like, can Frieren stand the test of time? I would argue it probably can. It's just right now, it's just not enough to say it is, right? And then again, even this generation, if I had to be biased now, right, this is me being biased, if I had to give my biased view on what I think the greatest anime of the generation is so far, it'll probably be Hell's Paradise, if I had to be honest, right? Not the most popular one, but in terms of the anime, right? The anime, not the books, right? We don't read over here. The anime. From beginning to end, it's like the most engaging story I've ever seen. And in terms of this generation, of course, definitely not of all time, right? But in terms of this generation, I was like, oh wow, like this story is very like complex, interesting, and that twist at the end of Hell's Paradise was crazy to me. Crazy. The only issue with Hell's Paradise is that in the beginning, it felt like the typical anime trope where it's like, the person's overpowered. I'm like, I'm not really like it's the same as all the other ones. I mean, the thing that kind of sets Frieren apart from that is like, yeah, I know it's about the journey, but like the pacing is like really, really good. Frieren's pacing is really, really good. So in the beginning, it doesn't feel like your typical anime, and then all throughout, it doesn't feel like your typical anime. But like one of the main reasons, and I talked about it in the previous video, one of the main reasons I can't give Frieren like, me personally, like the best anime of this like decade or this generation is just because if people argue that, I like, cool, I can understand it. Like it's a quality show, but the reason why I can't, I'm like, yo, like I've seen anime where there were no bad episodes. It does exist, right? The issue with the One Piece and stuff like that, where it's like, it's fillers, right? mad fillers. I remember when I was younger and I was watching Bleach, and you know, I'm one of those hardcore critics where it's like, I feel like I still do, I need to watch every episode because I need to have the right to give my opinion. I feel like you don't have the right to give your opinion if you just haven't watched it or consumed the content. You don't. That's just the truth. So for me, I made it a point, which is why I am how I am today, my annoying senpai, right? MAS, because I watch everything, even the stuff that's irrelevant, even the episodes that are technically just, oh, this is just a recap of everything that's happened throughout the season. I watch everything, right? Because I want to have the right to give my opinion because I've watched it, I've seen it, I've analyzed it from my own perspective. So with Frieren, they had slow episodes. There are animes that have had no slow episodes. They exist, they're amazing. To me, that is a very important qualifier for being the best anime of all time. No slow episodes. If you have slow episodes, I don't think that takes away from your title, aka One Piece. It doesn't take away anything from that, but you can't call yourself the greatest anime of all time compared to the other anime, and one, not have as many episodes in general, like the longevity of like a One Piece, like hey, like it hasn't been around for enough, and then two, have slow episodes on top of that. You can't not be around for a short amount of time and have slow episodes and call yourself the greatest anime of all time. And of course, the slow episodes being episodes, I believe, 11 through 15, right? Where it was mainly character development. And I understand Frieren's character development is not bad. Frieren's character development is actually quite good compared to other animes. But in regards to those episodes, there are other animes that do character development better. And there are other animes that do like the kind of rapport between characters, like the romance. This is me assuming. So I don't know what's going on between Frieren and Stark, but it seems like there's kind of like a romance going, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. Who cares, right? But there are other animes that do those kind of things way, way better. Frieren, the thing about Frieren is that there's nothing that Frieren, the show, does that is bad. Like Frieren is above average in pretty much all categories, if not on top. That's what makes it a really good show. So, I mean, I'm going to give my overall review of Frieren in a later video, but Frieren is up there. I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just saying I can't call it the greatest anime of all times because there are flaws. There are flaws. I'm sorry, people. There are flaws, right? But episodes 20 to 25, it's a bit more of the same. It's more of like the exam arc, and it's fire. It's fire. Unfortunately, it's nothing that I haven't seen. Again, which is why I can't call it the greatest anime of all time. Like, I've seen exam arcs. Naruto had exam arcs. My Hero Academia exam arcs. Every anime has like, well, every anime worth a damn of talking about, like, they typically have either an exam arc or a tournament arc. It's one of those two, right? You can't really go wrong with that. So I'm not gonna say, hey, this is an indictment on them for that. But again, if the title is, hey, Frieren is the greatest anime of all times, like, we got to deduct some points for these things. So let's just be real with ourselves, right? So yeah, Frieren has some slow episodes, and even the slow episodes weren't that bad, but compared to other animes, they've done it better. And that's the only real flaw that I saw. That I'm like, okay, I can't call this the greatest anime of all time. I'm like episodes 11 through 15 were tough. I was like I'm thirsty out here. I'm like, yo, like it wasn't capturing my attention. It wasn't bad, but I'm like I don't care about Stark forgetting so-and-so's birthday and her remembering Stark's birthday, and you know, the sleeping town of people, and like I understand the backstory of like himmel and, you know, all the things that connect to these travels and these adventures, but I'm like, it just wasn't as engaging. There are anime that have technically slow episodes, but because the anime is so good, it legit just doesn't feel like a slow episode. Like, there are animes that capture your attention from episode 1 to completion. They exist. Frieren is not one of them. Maybe season 2 will be different. Now, I even argue Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is not better than Frieren, so I'm not going to disrespect that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But if it wasn't for Vinland Saga season 2, hear me out. Hear me out. If it wasn't for Vinland Saga season 2, Villain Saga will be better than Pale's Parrot. Villain Saga is really, really good. Villain Saga is the closest thing to a modern day Berserk. It's the closest thing. But season 2, I'm about to curse. Season 2 messed it up. I was about to say season 2 it up. Alright? Season 2 Farmland. Everybody knows Farmland Saga. And even season 2 wasn't bad. It was just like, it was very, very slow. And that is an indictment, unfortunately. It is. Alright? It's great that season 2 focused a hell of a lot on character development. They have my man Thorfinn saying, I'm not killing anybody. It's just, season 1 was like, and then season 2, season 2 is still, it's still good, but we have to deduct points. I can't call Vinland Saga the greatest anime of all time so far. And you saw season 2 and say, yeah, season 2 was just as, you cannot say season 2 of Vinland Saga was just as fire as season 1. You can't say it. You can't, I dare you. I dare you can't say it. So that's the case. Frieren is still a top tier anime. If the argument is Frieren is the greatest anime of this decade, I can copy a plea for that. I was like, I can see that. But greatest anime of all time, we're talking about all times, it's not. And by default, unfortunately, hear my words, unfortunately, the greatest anime of all time, if you check off all categories, is One Piece. It just stood the test of time. Unfortunately. But when Frieren comes out with more seasons, we can be a better judge. We can be a better judge. But again, the key thing here is 5 years from now, will we still be talking about Frieren in the same regards as a One Piece or a Cowboy Bebop or like all these other really good animes that are haven't had any new episodes of people to talk rave about, right? But yeah, it's not the greatest anime of all times. But in regards to episodes 21 to 25, they are fire, but it's pretty much just a continuation of the exam arc. And Frieren is an OP, and everybody else is just trying to catch up. That's just episodes 21 to 25, right? But the next video will be like the last video in terms of episodes 26 through completion. I think last episode was like 28. But again, this is your man MES. If you enjoy my content, definitely please check me out. I'm out.